Hey, welcome back to Frank's Model Works. I'm Frank. We are now at our 5th installment of the body finishing series. In our last installment, we did the finish prime on the body. We identified every issue that needs to be addressed before we could put color on the body. We fixed whatever molding problems we were having. We are ready to put color on the body, and that's what we're about to do. So, without further ado, let's jump right in. At the spray booth, we're going to be painting the 68 Charger body. Like I had said previously, we're going to be doing it with MCW Automotive Finishes 6958 Avocado Green Metallic. It's a nice medium green, less commonly seen color. I think it's cool. So I already painted the other parts like the chassis, the firewall, those things that I showed you in the last episode. They're already done. There's really no secret to it. It's just, you know, it's regular painting, but painting a body naturally has its little quirks that we have to go over. So the first thing I'm going to do is grab a tack cloth. You've seen me use these before. These are it's cheesecloth that's impregnated with a what a word to get hung up on. Impregnated with a wax that will pull solid contaminants off of the surface, like dust and really big chunks, which really, it's down here, it's almost like a wasted step, because this is the dust nexus of the universe. But it's a step in the process, and it might help you. These are readily available. You could get them at like either automotive paint supply stores. You can order them online. Tack rags or tack cloth. So I'm just going. Don't dig in with it. You don't want to really transfer the wax that's in them, because that could create fish eyes. Fish eyes is the paint's reaction to a surface contaminant on the surface that you're painting. So you want to avoid fish eyes. You want to avoid a lot of things when you're painting a model car body. Distance to subject is something you have to take into consideration. The amount of passes, the level of the amount of material you're laying down during each pass is a very big consideration. A lot of things go into it, and it's not I'm just going to take this body, you know, I'm going to be an expert from day one. Unfortunately, you're going to have some paint jobs until you master it, and you'll find a groove, and it's almost like a Zen thing. You'll be frustrated, and then just one day it's just going to click. And it's, at the end of the day, it's worth waiting for, and it's worth striving for. So let's get started. So I just wiped down with a tack rag. Got that off. Gonna put my fan on to blow the fumes out. The first thing that I like to do when I'm applying color coats is to do the insides, bottom edges, outer edges, get all of that done. This way I don't forget, because I will forget. So I get it all done, and then I can concentrate on laying down the coats. So let's do that first. because this is a Mopar, and so much is actually painted the body color, you're gonna want to do the insides of the fenders and stuff like that, and then, you know, add like undercoating if that's the case. Whatever your research told you to do, that's what you're gonna go with. But this is just, I'm adding color so that you don't see bare plastic or primer. That's the only reason why I'm doing what I'm doing now. So I'm painting the inner portions closest to the surface so that we don't see any bare plastic or primer. If you are going to be using like a spray can, a rattle can, be careful doing this step because you could get runs and stuff like that. You don't want to get too close with a rattle can. It's one of the advantages to using an airbrush. You have more controllability over what you spray, which is what I talk about in my airbrushing series. So now I'm starting to push the edges out towards the lips of the fender wells and the bottom edges of like where the rockers would be and stuff like that. It's not as easy because this is a light color, and I realize I'm probably not getting much of this on camera. I'm so awesome. That's the venerable Tamiya paint stand. These have been around for a very long time. I got no beef with them. I like them. It's just I always will have one finger underneath and my other finger is holding it together because I have had the base separate like that and I've dropped bodies before. Oh, the felonies I would have committed that day. Okay, I'm gonna take a break for a second because I got a couple of text messages while I was doing that. I want to check those because they might be from somebody very important. Hold on. Okay, I still have the fan on. Are you proud of me? So, now that I've done the edges, I'm going to do the inside of the engine compartment because on Mopars that is painted body color. So I'll get that done and then we're going to start painting the body. This is the exciting time. Be excited. How am I doing on? Ooh, I'm out of paint. I'm gonna let that flash over for a second before I continue. I don't want to spray wet onto wet because that is gonna have, there's gonna be a differential, and I don't want the paint that I'm spraying onto the body itself to affect that area, even though, I mean, even on the real cars, it wasn't like the best paint job. You know, there's drips and runs in that area, but we could still try to do nice. All right, so I'll be back in a second. Hold on. Okay, before I continue, just a couple of things I want to go over. Some problems you might find if you're using pre-thinned paints. So now, when I do model car bodies, I almost always use pre-thinned paints, either model MCW or splash paints or scale finishes. Those are the three main brands that I use for bodies. Otherwise, I'll rattle can. But in airbrushing, one of the things that you might come across with pre-thin paint is spider webbing, where it's you know what is really happening. You're making cotton candy. It's the same thing. When cotton candy is made by forcing somewhat thick, sweetened and flavored syrup through an orifice with high pressure air, and that creates a web that becomes cotton candy. So if you're experiencing that with an airbrush, your problem is your paint is too thick and your pressure is too high. So if you want to prevent, if that's happening to you, and that's why you want to test, like in this case, I had already sprayed this paint onto the other parts, and it was thin properly. It's never happened to me, and it happened to me probably 3 years ago with one particular bottle of paint, but I should have spotted it before. So with pre-thin, which is why I recommend that you always spray off your project before committing, because if it's going to spider web because the paint is too thick, even though it says it's pre-thinned, if the paint is too thick and your PSI is too high, you're going to spider web. So then what you would have to do is, like if you're using MCW, or MCW sells a thinner or a reducer that you could use. I would recommend it because it's their product, so you know it's going to work. From my personal experience, I have used Mr. Color Leveling Thinner to thin down MCW paint a little bit, and it does work. So test off your project before you listen to an idiot on the internet, but it's something you could try if it's happening to you. It's very rare that it will happen, but that's the reason why it's happening. Your paint is too thick, your pressure is too high. If you go into paint and you're noticing a lot of material is getting onto the surface that you're trying to paint, and it's immediately causing runs. You're too close, your paint's too thin, your brush is too high. So that's why you have to modulate your spray pattern and find out what's going to come out of there, so it's not a surprise to you while you're holding your airbrush here and you have your actual project that you've been working on for the past week, getting the body ready, and then all of a sudden you strip it and start over again. So that's why the mantra is important. Test off your project first. But that's those are a couple of the other problems, the problems that you might run into. For the purpose of airbrushing, for example, MCW and splash paints, they recommend 20 to 25 PSI, sometimes up to 30 PSI. Might be a little high. Just saying. But modulate, see what you got to do, and then go according to that. Make notes. I don't remember half this stuff. I put a note in the notepad on my phone of paints and stuff like that, of what I got to do. So there's a process, and you got to learn the process and learn to find your process that's going to work for you. These are just like ground rules, and I'm just trying to like show you the direction. All right, you're gonna go there, and you're gonna, you know what I mean? I'm not telling you this is orthodox and you have to follow me like I'm some type of cult personality. I am a personality, a fantastic personality, but I'm nobody to follow. You knew, like you didn't know that already. But anyway, so spidering. Paint is too thick, pressure's too high. Thin the paint, lower the pressure. Test off the project, you'll probably be good. Paint is automatically running. It's too thin, your pressure's too high. Lower the pressure, increase the distance from your subject by a little bit. I'm not talking about, 3 feet, because you want to reach that sweet spot where your paint is leaving your airbrush at the proper viscosity, at the proper pressure, and the proper distance, so that it's still atomized adequately to provide a nice, even predictable coating on your model car. That's what we're going for. So that's what we're going to do. Okay? I'm going to take a break for a second because I think at any minute my wife is going to call me for dinner. Priorities. So I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back from having dinner. Delightful. Next up, when I came back, I wiped it down with a tack cloth again. So the next thing I'm going to do is go around the wheel openings, around the perimeters, and because of these character details here in a 68, 69 Charger, these things right here, I'm going to get around there. Just because I don't want to, while I'm making sweeping passes and going from side to side, I don't want to have to stop and like try to get in there because it could interrupt the pass. So I'm going to be doing passes like that. I lay down a light coat at first, and then medium coats, and then you'll see me moving around a lot, and I'll jump from side to side because these paints, they flash pretty quickly. So it's not like I'm going to do, and that's one coat, and I'm going to stare at the wall for, I'm going to keep moving so that I'll do a pass here, come over here, do a pass here. Then I'll hit the top, and in the interim, this is actually flashing, because it flashes pretty quick, but you develop a feel for it, and there's nothing mystifying about it. It's just something you have to be careful. You know, you can't hose paint on, especially lacquer. It's you just got to be careful. So watch. All right, hold on. Let me put the fan on. At least I remembered that this time. Rather than thin the paint, I'm going to, because I know that this paint it was thinned properly. That could have been a little bit of tip dry where the paint was getting dry towards the tip and then like thickening up a little bit. And when it happens if you step away from the airbrush for a little bit and then come back. So we'll keep an eye on it. Before I add thinner to it, we'll just we'll keep an eye on it. I think we should be okay. Got that on. Stopped spider webbing. It was probably because the paint had sat for like half hour while I ate dinner. So I got the paint into these character details around the wheel wells, and so now what I'm gonna do is side, and then along here, and along here, then the roof, and come up the sail panels like that. That's my game plan. Try to think. This is probably my 10th or 11th of these bodies that I'm painting, and I tend to paint them all the same way. I used to paint them with rattle cans when the 68 first came out. I painted that with a rattle can. But we shall see. Now, the paint that I just sprayed on is probably flashed already. So, well, almost close. This didn't flash yet. This is getting there. This stuff is flashed. So. So when I sweep side to side, I try to do like a 50% overlap of the previous line that I laid down. And then I'll start at the bottom, work my way up, work my way to the middle, work my way down, work like that, like you just watched me do. What you're trying to do is you're trying to get even coverage without developing runs. For my part, getting dust in the paint is inevitable. I try to avoid like big chunks, but it's hard. I'm in a basement. I'm 15 feet away from a clothes dryer. So. Messed up a little on the roof. It'll be all right. Keeping it 90 degrees, so whatever comes down. Probably can't see it because of the way the light is shining, but the filter on my spray booth looks like pea soup. Delicious. So right now I'm waiting for the roof to flash so I can add another coat. What wound up it's like tiger striping. The metallic flake is stacked wrong because my spray discipline was bad. So, wait a couple of minutes, wait for it to flash over, see what we could do, and try to blend another coat in to get rid of it. I'll bring you back. Hold on. Okay, I got the tiger stripes out of the roof, but because it's me, there's a big booger in the roof. Right there. See if you can see it. It happens. It's just, I don't know if it was like a gnat or something that got caught between the spray and what I don't know, but it got stuck into the surface and it's like it's not a fisheye, it's definitely gook. So in this situation, let me turn the fan off. In a situation like this, I'm gonna have to sand that down, and more likely than not, I'm gonna have to sand it down to the primer if I'm lucky. Who knows how deep that's gonna go, and then I might wind up having to repaint the area, make a spot correction. I'm not one for oh, this isn't perfect, let me throw it into a pond and get all the paint. I'm not one to do that. I don't want to throw away a paint job and all that work for a dust speck that I could probably get out. So, and I'd rather do that than strip it down and start all over again. So, but we got the tiger stripes out, so they're gone. It's an interesting color of green. Not gonna lie, it is pretty interesting, but I like it. That's my flavor of I don't like the regular colors that you see every day. I want something. It stands out because it's not really something that stands out, you know what I mean? So, but if you saw the way I was spraying, so I covered everything around fender openings and around character lines and stuff like that, and then I did sweeping back and forth layers, overlapping each by half until I built up enough color, and here we have a painted body. So we're not done by any stretch of the imagination. Even though this is gloss lacquer, I'm still going to put a gloss clear over it. I got to get whatever problems are in it, I'm going to have to get them out. Spot repair is necessary, and then we'll apply clear coat. So hold on a second. The paint has been drying for several days, and I wasn't really expecting this to improve. So if you could see right there, that's a pretty gnarly booger in the paint. And I am not stripping this paint and starting over, because it's that. I'm not losing all of this paint just for that. I'm gonna fix it. So went in, got my DSPIAE sanding sponge. I'm gonna start with 1000 grit, see what I can do. I know I'm gonna burn through. I know I'm gonna probably at least get the primer probably even deeper down to the plastic. But when that happens, I'll fade it in. I'll do what I have to do to fix it. Because for something like this, it's not worth stripping. At least not to me. If it's something that I think I can fix. And this is something that I think I can fix. Because it's already starting to look a little bit better. So it's still got a dimple in there, and it's something will work. But I'll get down as far as I need to go. I'll try to limit the amount of space that I have to repaint, and then we'll take it from there. So I'll shut up now so that I can concentrate on what I'm doing. So that's what we're left with. I'm going to progress through some grits to smooth this out, and then I'll paint the touch-up. Now jumping up to 1200. Now if you see right there, it's starting to get a little thin there, so I just got to be careful. We're up to 2000. Okay, so this is my result after going through all 5 of the grits. 1000, 1200, 1500, 2000, and 2500 in DSPIAE sanding set. I then used the Ultimate Modeling Products buffer. I don't know what grit is on the blue side. I think this is supposed to be 12,000. Like I said, sanding grits are arbitrary. They differ between companies, countries, states, counties, who knows. So I just basically go by feel. I'll put a link to these down in the description, and there'll be a link to these also. So what I wound up doing is making sure that the actual blemish is out of the paint. So naturally, that thing was so deep, I must have hit it on something while it was wet to do that, because that wasn't something that was in the paint. That was something done to the paint. So I wound up sanding down to the bare plastic, and I tried to even everything so that when I repair it, I'm going to mask off the rest of the body, and I'm only going to concentrate. I'm not even going to really concentrate so much on this part of the B-pillar, C-pillar, and really nothing over here, because I'll deal with all of that, you know, whatever orange peel and stuff like that in the clear. So next up is going to be a spot prime in this area. I'm going to mask everything off so I don't get overspray onto the body, and then I'll come back when I have accomplished that. Hold on. So this is before I prime it. I just masked off, and I'm just going to work in some primer to get in over here. I don't want to get it on the rest of the body, as little as possible on the roof, and then I'm going to sand that down, and then I'll do another color coat over it to touch it up. All right, so hold on. So there we have the spot prime. It's a little big, but I'll work it back, smooth it out. There's some roughness around where I sprayed naturally from the overspray. So I'll rough that down. I'll get this back out, and really it'll be basically like I painted the roof last. I mean, you could blend it in. It's just, I do it this way. Like if I get a big booger like that, rather than strip the whole body, it's a waste of paint to do that, and it's a waste of time. Like all that time I had prepping that, I mean, just fix it. You know what I mean? You spend less money on paint, and you save yourself some time, and it's good practice to get yourself out of a problem rather than just start all over again from scratch. So I'm gonna wait for this to set for a day just to make sure I'm not gonna disturb anything more than I need to. We'll knock this primer down. We'll get everything smooth up here, and we'll paint the roof. All right, hold on. A day has gone by, and now I'm gonna sand the spot where I primed. Sorry, that noise in the background, the dry is running. We're just gonna have to deal with it, folks. In fact, I'm just gonna shut up and mute, probably speed things up, pop in when I need to. Hold on. So you know, I'm starting with 2000 grit. See, I got some glue residue from the masking tape that I put on to prevent overspray. So I'm gonna just make sure that that's not gonna be a problem. Got to get rid of that because that could cause a fisheye. Since I'm gonna wash the body anyway, to get rid of glue residue, my favorite go-to method is Meguiar's Ultra Cut 105 compound. Gets rid of it, but you got to make sure you clean the body afterwards. I'm not saying it will cause fish eyes, but it could. So this is pretty nasty inside the top of this bottle. A little piece of Tamiya polishing cloth. Let me get this light out of the way. It's probably terrible for the camera. A little bit on there. Can you see that? There is a reflection, isn't there? Just a little bit on there. Not a lot. And if you can see, the residue is right here. Probably can't even see. I can see it. So you gotta trust me. To lift that away. So the reason why I go through so many grits when doing this spot repair like that, especially like, you know, it's primer. I want to be able to look down and make sure I got everything and I don't have a ridge in the paint, to make sure everything's smooth. I'm probably just gonna put another coat of paint on the entire body anyway, so I just got to get some. And then along the way, I've seen some boogers in the paint, so try to get those out. Okay, so I am happy with the repair. Looking up against the light, I don't see the repair in the reflection, so I'm cautiously optimistic that that's going to work. I'm going to wash this body, let it air dry overnight, just to reduce the possibility of getting fish eyes in the next coat of paint that I put on it, and to get any sanding residue, even though, like, you see me wiping it with these tissues. That's these Kimtech wipes that I use. That helps. It also polishes a little bit. A friend of mine, Rob Knight, from the UK, goes, "Oh, I tissue polish it." I go, "What are you talking about?" He goes, "Oh, I take some bathroom roll and I polish things." And I thought he was out of his mind. So I did it once, and it actually kind of worked. So Rob Knight, if by some strange circumstance you happen to be watching this, thank you very much for the tip, my friend. I use it a lot. And these are actually pretty good tissues to do it with. Although Rob's more frugal, so he would probably just use bathroom tissue, which is fine. But the rougher the better, I guess. And any like real, making sure there's no gouges or anything in here that would come through on a color coat. If you take the time, if you're like me, and like I always say, if you are like me, you have my sincerest condolences, but I am not naturally talented at this, and my finishes are garbage. If you stick it in your face, they look awful, but from about 3 feet away, they look okay. And I don't think I'll progress much. I'll never be a Marcos Cruz. I'll never be a Lewis Hicks. I'll never be somebody who's incredibly good at painting. So, but I can get this far. And if I can impart you, this might be the next level for you. And if you can get to the level that I'm at, which is, I would say, an average level, and you keep trying, you keep plugging away at it, you never know. There might be another Marcos Cruz or Lewis Hicks out there. And I'm sure those gentlemen would be happy to fill you in on how they do it, because they're very nice, very talented men. And I am a big fan of their work. So, I'm going to go wash this, and then I'm going to meet you over at the spray booth, because we have something else that we have to spray. The 68 Charger dried pretty quick, so what the hey, let's do it. So, we got the body ready to go. I got my operating PSI at about 20. So Terrence is going to be balking throughout this entire thing. And here we have the finished results of our repair. Now, as you can see, there was the spot right there. And it appears to be well filled in and blended. I did add another coat to the body itself. As is usual, there's some dust in it, but that's for dealing with that isn't going to be in the next episode. But we did manage to save the paint that was already on and actually smoothed out a little bit of what was on there. So in the next episode, we're going to deal with prep for the clear coat and then applying the clear coat. But what we need to stress in this episode, when we do add color to a model car body, we want to get to the areas, the hard to reach areas first. Get all of them out of the way. On a Mopar, that would be in here in the engine bay, in the inner fender wells, around the perimeter, around the edges, inside of details, distinctive details like these character, they're supposed to, I guess, represent vents, but they really don't. But get in there and make sure that they get painted so that your paint discipline just then focuses on nice flowing sweeps, even color placement, just like that. So, and when using an airbrush, or even if you're using a rattle can, it's a fluid motion, nice and easy. You don't hover too long in one spot. You just keep moving. Try to keep your nozzle perpendicular to your surface, and keep it moving. Allow each layer to build up to create a coat. So you don't have to hose all of the color on in 30 seconds, because then you're just looking for trouble. Take the time that you need in order to lay down a consistent, even, and workable color coat. So I'm going to put you back up on the tripod and sum up. Hold on. So this episode of the body finishing series is going to be the last time in this series that you're going to see the 1969 Charger that has the vinyl top on it, because this is going to be split off and be the basis for a brief tutorial on applying a floral top. Now, I said before, no, you couldn't get a floral top or a mod top on top of a Charger in any year that they were available. And yes, I know that the blue pattern was only available for Plymouths in 1969 and 1970. But, like I said, you got the cash, you could have anything done to your car that you wanted. They'd be happy to find a roll of it, especially back then, if it was still around, and put it on there for you. A lot of people, when I did the build series on the 69 Dodge Dart, which is available on my channel, look it up, check it out, wanted to know how I apply the decal. So that's what that little episode is going to be about. Look out for that. Moving forward, we're going to be working on this. We're going to be applying a clear coat after getting any imperfections in the paint out, so that we have a good solid foundation for the clear coat. And we're progressing. So, as always, I got Frizzo's back. I appreciate your support, and until we speak again, my friends, take care of yourselves and be well. Have a very good Independence Day. Take care.